Hello there, how are ya? Welcome back to How I Did It. This week's video is going to pick up right where we left off last week. Now that I have this northwest corner of the property's electrical all tied in, I'm going to tie in my frost-free hydrant. Now, these frost-free hydrants are pretty neat. They're freestanding. If you have any frost issues, the water doesn't stay up in the handle portion of it. It actually, when you close it, drains down and out through the rocks, which I thought was absolutely great. Now, these came with just the hydrant and this drain valve right here, but I had to purchase this first adapter, which is a 1/2 inch brass PEX to 3/4 inch male pipe. I used pipe thread, Teflon on it and dope on it. Threaded it in, crimped on this 1/2 inch piece in between, and where it's coming from the 3/4 inch PEX pipe that's underground, that's just a 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch adapter. And again, it's just crimped on. Now I have to just go ahead and dig down in, probably, I think it was a little bit, well, probably right at 18 inches for the lack of better term, because there was about 6 inches worth of crimped adapters and pipes there. These PEX pipes, putting it together is so easy, so self-explanatory. Way less expensive than using copper or any of the other materials that I've seen out there. Most of these current fittings that I'm using here, the crimp pieces and the brass connectors, I did purchase off of Amazon. They were the cheapest ones that I found around. Ace, Lowe's, Home Depot, limited supply, and the ones they had, their prices have gone up substantially. And again, I used Teflon tape on that threaded fitting on the bottom of this hydrant and Teflon pipe dope. That way I was ensured I wasn't going to have any leaks after the fact. Then it's just a matter of getting your rocks or your gravel around that drain portion of this frost-free hydrant, just so when the water drains out, it's not draining into sand. You have the rocks for it to all wick through. Okay, so moving on to the next hydrant. Now the next one's kind of the intermediate portion of the property. It sits halfway between the northwest corner and the southeast corner of the property. It's the one where all the branches will be wying off of, and it's the one that technically is the most complex, but all of this is just like a Lincoln log set or an erector set or a Lego set or anything that you build with. You kind of just put the pieces together, you know, dry fit them, and then once you have it designed the way you want it, then you crimp them together. Now the thing that we've ran into here in Florida, just an exorbitant amount of rain. All of my trenches were filling up with water, and then of course the sand and the mud was washing in afterwards. So I was kind of dreading getting into this point of it. As you can see, getting there slowly but surely. It's really kind of messy, and that's the biggest thing with these water lines. You want to try to keep them as clean as you can. If sand gets in there when you try to crimp that PEX fitting down on, you potentially could cause yourself a leak. When you're doing water collection, you know, and then you have a leak, you don't know about the leak until you turn the water on and you are completely out of water. This is not something like you're going to get an outrageous bill from the water company and you're like, oh, hey, I got a leak. It's going to be a matter of, hey, you go to flush the toilet and there's no water to flush the toilet, or you're going to turn the faucet on the sink to brush your teeth and there's no water. So you want to take a lot of care when assembling these to keep all of these fittings really clean and dry. Now this was just a temporary hookup that I have here. As you can see, I'm using a push fit shark elbow on the bottom of this frost-free hydrant. And this frost-free hydrant I set up a little bit different than the one down at the other end, because I had an actual 3/4 inch elbow that connected to the 3/4 inch PEX adapter into the 3/4 inch threaded male adapter that went into the bottom of that frost-free hydrant. So that was pretty straightforward. Now here's where everything branches off, and I was initially going to install a shutoff for each of the individual branches, but with the amount of mud and standing water that we have, I just opted to get everything connected. That way I didn't end up with a bunch of contaminant in any of the legs of the water lines. Now, the water line that I'm connecting here, this one actually is going to service the southeast corner of the property. I stepped this down to 1/2 inch PEX. Again, this entire system is serviced by a 12-volt pump that is functioning from rainwater collection and a simple pressure tank to boost the pressure. So the pressure tank kicks on at 30 psi and kicks off at 50 psi. So overall, I'm hoping that the diameter of the pipe that I use will be sufficient, that the pump and the pressure tank will be able to keep up with the pipe. Time will definitely be the telltale of it. The one really awesome factor out of it all is I don't have water just at one point on the property. Now I will have it at multiple points on the property. The downfall to it is not having valves in right here to isolate the different legs. If you did have a water leak, now you're going to have water shut down to the entire property. However, it probably won't matter, because by the time you realize that you had a water leak, it was when you turned the faucet on to brush your teeth and you didn't have any water, and then you went out to look in the water tank and you were like, oh my goodness. So I don't know a way around it. Maybe if you guys have a suggestion, maybe there's some kind of an emergency backflow, like if it flows a lot, that it'll automatically shut it down. Maybe I need to look into that. Anyway, this one is all attached. I have all my legs attached. Now it's just a matter of, well, I actually need to go ahead and dig a hole next to the faucet here, because this is where my sub panel is going to go in, and it is going to service the different legs of the property as well. And now that that pole is actually in, I'm going to do just like I did on the hydrant up by the RV. Go ahead and get my gravel in there. That way, when I close that hydrant down, again, the water has the gravel around that bleeder valve. It can all drain out. And if we have a freeze this summer, good luck with that. This winter, that's the nice thing about these hydrants. If for some reason I'm not out here at the property, I don't have to worry about my water lines freezing. They're all buried underground, and all of the spigots are the frost-free hydrants, so all that water will be drained out. So this is the last leg of the water line, and this is also the last leg of the electric. The electric's already in. Now this is the water line that I was saying. I stepped it down to a 1/2 inch. And again, where I'm taking this over to that southeast gate, if I had trenched straight, it would have been cutting roots, weakening potential tree structure. And again, we're still in the middle of hurricane season. Okay, so back to the task at hand. Cut that 1/2 inch PEX and then I went ahead and crimped on a gated shutoff valve, which I don't know why I didn't do that on film. Okay, so currently I have one shutoff for all of my frost-free hydrants, and this is just full of water. So eventually I will go back, but for now it'll have to do. And this is my oopsie frost-free hydrant that I installed because I hit the water line that serviced the off-grid barn. Anyway, just ran the air out of it and move on to the next one. And as you can see, those lines actually did get a little bit of contaminant in them. And so I'm going from the source closest to the water, and I'm working my way out to kind of flush the different lines. Here we're all the way up by the northwest corner of the property, and this hydrant had a whole lot of air. Now know that I sped the footage up on this. I would say probably a good 30 to 45 seconds air was coming out, and then the water was hit or miss, and then it just started coming out nice, crystal clear. And considering that is about 600 feet from the water source, and then this is the last one. And again, it sped up, but I have water basically all over the entire property. Alrighty then. Y'all have an absolutely wonderful and blessed week. I'll see you next time on How I Did It.